My name is Melissa, and I chose to do my persuasion speech on childhood vaccinations and the importance of um, obtaining them. In 1962, President Kennedy enacted the Vaccination Assistance Act into law. This allows for the CDC to initiate mass immunization campaigns and maintenance programs. This came after many years of debilitating diseases struck the population of the United States. Diseases such as mumps, diphtheria, and epidemic jaundice date back to days when Hippocrates was alive. In fact, he documented the prevalence of these problems. So why then, after hundreds of years of vaccination advocacy, researching, and finding serums to protect against some of the world's oldest illnesses, would parents choose to forego these vaccinations for their children? Today, I will help you to come to the conclusion that seems most obvious. Childhood vaccinations are a vital part of your life and your child's life. It's a scary feeling carrying your 1-month-old into the pediatrician's office. You are bombarded with heights, weights, reflex tests, etc. And now the doctor tells you that he needs to inject your infant with several vaccinations in order to initiate a sequential set of necessary vaccinations. You are handed paperwork with a logo for the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, the United States National Public Health Institute. These papers give you all the information you could possibly need to understand why these vaccinations are important to your child's health. So with so much information at your fingertips, would you believe that parents still choose not to have their children vaccinated? According to a report by Live Science in 2010, the number of children enrolled in private health plans getting properly immunized declined by as much as 3.5% last year, according to the National Committee on Quality Assurance. There seems to be many misconceptions with regard to childhood vaccinations. Let's talk about some common ones. One of the most controversial misconceptions is that children who receive certain vaccinations are at higher risk for autism. In a response from the CDC, they stated, according to the Institute of Medicine, the evidence favors rejection of a causal relationship between thimerosal-containing vaccines and autism. Many physicians point the fingers to a British physician who believes that a combined vaccination for measles, mumps, and rubella caused autism. He subsequently publicizes information in one of the world's leading medical journals, The Lancet. In an article dated 2011 from USA Today, it reads, "It became one of the greatest myths in modern medicine," says Offit, author of Deadly Choices, how the anti-vaccine movement threatens us all. He points to nearly 24 studies showing no link between vaccines and autism. Last year, The Lancet issued the retraction after learning that information had been falsified. Another misconception is that many of these diseases that we are vaccinating our children against had already begun to decline in the U.S., as well as too many vaccinations can overload a child's immune system. The CDC, the American Academy of Pediatrics, as well as countless universities and institutes of health have debunked both of these myths. So what's the risk in not vaccinating our children? We will probably never know the full extent, because luckily, there are parents who still choose to have their children vaccinated. In fact, in a 2009 study done by NIH, the National Institute of Health, out of 11,206 parents of children aged 24 to 35 months, only 8.2% of those parents refused vaccinations entirely. It seems as though that isn't the only study that points in a positive direction for the vaccination of children. In an article from 2013 by U.S. News, a study done by the Institute of Medicine stated that evidence repeatedly points to the health benefits of the current vaccination schedule, which includes preventing children and their communities from life-threatening diseases. As you can see, like with most things, parents have the ability to choose for their child how they want to proceed when it involves the vaccination schedule set forth by the CDC. We've learned in this speech that there are numerous misconceptions in the community as to why parents should avoid these important childhood vaccinations. We also learned that all of these have been debunked by credible medical sources. We also discussed just the tip of hundreds of thousands of studies that advocate for said childhood vaccines, and further discredit any negative claims against the system as it has been set forth. For everything that we have seen throughout history with regard to diseases such as measles, mumps, diphtheria, and tetanus, this 2008 New York Times article puts it best: the cost of not vaccinating at all, as history has taught, can be very high.